Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Rudy El-Houri, the Dean of the School of Architecture. I'd like to welcome you to our first in the Tecnoglass series this fall. The series is a curated one. And every year, every term, actually, we have a different theme, and you will hear about it shortly. And we can do this because this is a sponsored series that is generously funded. So I would like to thank our sponsors, Tecnoglass, who have actually supported us in this effort now for 9 years. So we are very grateful that they enable us to sustain this intensity and quality and deliberate curation of a thematic series. So with each term, actually, we ask one of our faculty members to curate the collection. And this term, I'm delighted to introduce Veruska Vascones, who was the mastermind behind this fall's theme, which focuses on housing. But also, as Veruska had this vision also to more intimately involve the students in the orchestration of the series. So she and her student have actually prepared the introductions, and they're going to actually take care of this, which is a first, and I appreciate your effort, Veruska, in actually making this happen. So I'm going to ask now Anna to come forward and tell us more about the theme this year.
All right, Fall 2025 Tecnoglass Lecture Series, Housing for All. Across the globe, an extraordinary position is unfolding to re-envision the very foundations of daily life, dwelling, stability, and dignity so that they are not scarce commodities, but shared cultural achievements. In this pivotal moment of climatic flux, geopolitical transformation, and shifting social horizons, architecture can be both sanctuary and catalyst, giving form to more just, generous, and imaginative ways of living together. Housing for All emerges from conviction that dwelling must do more than just enclose. It must elevate, inspire, and respond. As Jane Jacobs reminds us, cities have the capability of providing something for everybody, only because and only when they are created by everybody. Embodying this ethos, the 5 invited practices unite intellectual rigor with humane empathy, marrying formal precision to the intricate rhythms of everyday life. Each architect articulates a unique dialect of place, material, and light, yet all share a devotion to crafting spaces at once intimate and civic, abstract and rooted. This autumn, the Tecnoglass Lecture Series foregrounds their work, architecture that resists the glare of spectacle and listens attentively to the context and community. Together, their projects offer not merely a shelter, but meaning, proposing new forms of belonging, intimacy, and collective flourishing. Felippi Wesson, Switzerland. Elizabeth Whitaker, United States. Jean-Christophe Conton, France. Aires Mateos, Portugal. Coldify, France. Together, these 5 voices provide a compelling response to the call, Housing for All. Their architecture acknowledges that housing is not only a right, but a condition for human flourishing. This series is both an homage and an inquiry. It invites us to reflect on the emotional, political, and cultural resonance of the spaces that we call home. It challenges us to shift and reconsider housing not as a unit, but to be replicated, as a living framework for belonging, for beauty, and for everyday life shared.
We are delighted to welcome Thomas Wesson of Felippi Wesson Architekten as the inaugural speaker of the Fall 2025 Tecnoglass Lecture Series. It is truly an honor to have you with us, Thomas. Your architectural vision and body of work are extraordinary, and we're grateful for the opportunity to share them with our students, faculty, and broader community. This evening marks not only the beginning of the series, but also an invaluable moment of learning and inspiration for all of us. Fabio, Felippi, and Thomas Wesson studied together at FH Basel. After their time at Herzog and de Meuron Architects, they founded the architecture firm Felippi Wesson in 2009. Their work encompasses urban planning, architecture, and artistic projects, resulting in a wide variety of outcomes. They are continually searching for new ideas to infuse into their work, which they skillfully integrate with functional design and social considerations. Their iterative process leads us to innovative and trend-setting projects. Please join us in welcoming Thomas Wesson.
Right. Thank you very much for the introduction and for the nice words. And we want to say thank you for the invitation to Miami. It's a great pleasure to be here. To start with, I would say a few words about our company. As you heard before, Fabio and me, we started the company in the year 2009. Fabio is unfortunately not here, it was not possible, but I know he's watching the lecture by stream. So, hi Fabio. To start with, what are we interested? What is our office? One moment, please. Top here. Yes. Right now we're around 10 people in the office. This is a very nice size. We can do small project. We can do very big project. The biggest one is a office building with about 10,000 square meters. The smallest one we have now is a little roof, about 5 to 5 square meters, really small. As you will see in the next picture, we have certain interests. Don't be surprised, it's a very special picture. It's a shelter for animals. And funny enough, this stands in the town where I live. Sometimes I make a walk and I have a look at it. And I'm always fascinated because for me, it's not just a shelter, it's much more. When you look closer at it, you see it's constructed very simple. It really comes from the function where the cows or the animals can eat. They are not in the sun, they're not getting wet, so it functions very good. But then when you look closer, you see like this very filigrane, this nice structure of the construction which they did. You see the roof. It's not just roof. It's not necessary to have such a big roof, but someone who did it, they scaled it, they made it much larger and suddenly becomes some generous gesture. It always looks elegant in this nature landscape. And this is maybe coming back to our interest. We also like to play with elements, We really love, like you see further on, we really love strong structures, giving us help us to develop a project from the beginning. And from there, we can develop it further on. On the other hand, there are small things like we can change certain elements, we can scale it, we can squeeze it. And for example, a small handrail, when we scale it, suddenly it becomes more the handrail, it becomes a function. And these are things which are interest. And what we think in these elements or these moments, architecture can be more than just fulfill the function. It can give something back to the population, to people who live there. And this is what we are interested for. So to start with, I would show you some pictures about the housing Oettlingerstraße. This is a competition we won about 5 years ago from a client in Basel. Here you see the situation of Basel. On the left side, the river, and very typical for cities in Switzerland, they call the blocks. So that means they have a housing buildings, quite a few story buildings, and they define very precise roads. And in the middle of these blocks, there are small and bigger blocks, as you see here, and this one here, there's the possibility to have smaller objects. They're like fabrics for carpenters, like shed buildings, and so on. And the question was here, I go one further. The question was here, there was an existing car garage, a one-story, and the owner, he also owned this house here at the corner. And the task was to create a new housing there. And we were the only team who decided just to leave the existing corner building and make a small renovation because it works really well. These are nice cut flats, and do something special in the courtyard. Here's the picture. On the left side, you see the view from the street going to this car garage, the one-story car garage. Really on the left side, there's a piece visible of the existing house. And this is the view from a friend of ours living in the same block, funny enough. And so you see here, this is like a industrial building. I think it's a building complex or a carpenter living there. On the top, he has some storage space. And our project is just in the back of it. Here you see this facade. It's the one we transformed. Now, this is a project, probably you know Richard Rogers, the Lloyd Insurance building, which we like a lot. When you look at it, you see it has a really clear structure, which we like very much. And then he's taking out all the elements which might, let's call it, destroy the ground floor. And this is something we also tried to do here, because we were quite limited in terms of the dimension of the plot. We said, okay, we want to do in terms of sufficiency as many apartments as possible and make them as little as possible. And so finally we found out, I go to the next one here, that we decided to make 8 duplex apartments. So they have 2 stories each. In the first 2 floors, we have 4 in a row. And then on the second floor, we have another 4. And now, why did we take out everything? First of all, we were interested to have a rigid structure. So we could build 8 times exactly the same floor plan, which was somehow, it was very good for the cost, but also was helping us to have a strong concept. And then, secondly, to take all the elements which don't have to be heated. We don't need a warm elevator. We don't need a warm stair, and we don't need any circulation spaces. This is all the things we added on the main volume, and somehow the volume became much smaller, and with these additional elements, it started to connect with the surrounding. Before I go to the detail, I want to show you some elements here. Like before, you saw that you enter this public space. It's like everybody can enter there. So how do we work with the privacy? So you walk through these buildings and then you come to this courtyard. And this is quite an early building, just right after finishing. But right now, everything is green and it's like a green oasis. But what you see here now, you have from this public path who leads to a garage, which has to be still unused. We have these small steps here, the stone, and from there you make a step to this veranda or porch, however you want to call it. And this is your private house. And from there, you see, we have this steel structure on the first ground floor. And from there, you can privatize your space. You can have plants there, you have a chair, you have a coffee table. And whenever you want to have more privacy, you can enclose the space with the curtains. And from there, you go into the apartment. On the upper floor, it's more or less, it's a similar system, and they have a covered space here. Here's the ground floor, explaining the situation again. We have this existing building at the entrance, then the car showing the way to the existing garage, and our new building in the center of this courtyard. As you can imagine, we had to place in the middle. It was a real game of finding the distance from the law we had to the neighbor buildings. So that was quite clear where it had to stand. And then you see here the entrances to the different apartments, the access to the stair for the second level, and the elevator in the back. Here, finally, we have a ramp for the wheelchairs. And it's quite interesting what happens. Not many people go back there. Maybe there are some crazy architects who want to knock on every wall. They go there, you know. But every, let's call normal person, wouldn't go further on than this point here because you feel it's too much of privacy. Now here you see the porch at the entrance, and in the back exactly the same. It's mirrored. This is like the balconies or the porch for to sit down. What's also quite good visible is here the old existing wall. You will see it here later. Yeah. This is a reference. We also like to work with different roof shapes. We analyze different elements or shapes of the roofs in these courtyards in Basel, and also how can we find a developer facade who orientates on this industrial building. So here you can see different model studies. Maybe go to the detail. Fabio and me, we still work a lot with models. We love 3D, we do all these things, but for us to develop it, and also for the clients to have something to look at, to touch, and so on, to walk around, the model is still a very good element to develop a project. So here we made these roof studies, and finally we came to this shape, which we thought might work very well. And you see also the reference before with this big glazed facade, which we integrated in our project. From the side facade, it looks like that. That is an early model where we still had a transparent facade, which we kind of liked, that you could see the structure. It would be a very honest way of designing, yeah. But because of fire regulation, we couldn't do that. So we had to make a fiber cement plate, which you'll see further on. Now let's go to the ground floors. As you see here, the four same floor plans, they're always mirrored, 2 and 2 together. And the elevator bring you up to the second floor, or the stair, and to the back. I go quite quick through because I have a closer detail then to explain you everything. And this is the upper floor of the apartment. So now let's see the detail. To be honest, it was quite a challenge to build such a small apartment because, as probably you know also here, there are so many regulations, what you have to follow, and so on and so on. But let's go through. So you start your flat, your duplex flat, in a small place here. You have a small entrance area, a wardrobe, and then you have a box, a wooden box, where the toilet is. And this is already one main topic, because in terms of regulation, they need us to make a toilet which is accessible per wheelchair. But this one was totally not, it was too small. And it would have been no chance for us to build this big toilet in this ground floor. So we found out a solution, which we think is very nicely done, because we have a double door here on the toilet, and when you open both doors, they close to the wall of the stair here, and you reach the dimension of the toilet which you need. And so this detail shows you how we work with the laws, how we try to find solution to get the best out of it. From there now, you can walk behind the stairs, and behind the stairs there's a small kitchen. It's a bit covered from the entrance, and then further on you have a eating table and a living room. And in the back, you have the outdoor space. And the good thing is, with this box here in front and the stair, even if people walk through, you're totally private in here. And that works really good. Then when we move up here, we have the stair leading up here. You come to the upper floor. So here we have a double space, which gives some generosity. And you enter, you have 2 sleeping rooms, like kind of a master bedroom, where you have a double door, which also generates some nice views to the whole flat. You have a smaller sleeping room, and you have a bathroom. This is the section. As I said before, this wall, they're really important. You will see further on. We kept everything from the further use as a garage on the wall. Sometimes there are paintings, sometimes there are all tiles, you know, and we left everything because it's part of the history. We wanted to show what happened there, and it's just, we bring in just a new layer. We don't want to hide it. And this is what interested us. Then another thing, which is quite good visible, we do not have a cellar in this house. We just have small foundations, because as we also transform the existing building in front, they have a big cellar there. We said, okay, let's reduce the volume. Don't make any unnecessary cellars. Just put all the installation we can do to the front house. And the like garage and the like a storage room are in this building here. There's an old garage which are not used anymore, so we could use them. This is a top shot where shows our building, our solitaire in this space. And I think from here, from this view, it's quite good visible what happens. Imagine to have this block without any roofs, additional without any elevators. It would be very massive and very like, I don't want to touch it, you know, I'm the boss here. But with this element, it really gets into connection to the people, to the surrounding. And we're very happy with this solution that we could build it. In the back then, you see the old house. We made some small transformation here, small balcony. When we move in to the interior, you see, like you saw at the first image of this shelter for the animals, these are also raw materials. And we also like that very much, to have an honest way of designing, honest ways of construction, just showing the concrete slabs, the wooden walls we put inside the wall, the windows. And what is very special here, we had an idea of doing all the installation not in the wall, but on top of the walls. For our project leader, who was also doing the construction site, it was a lot of work because he had to measure in everything on very detail. It was a lot of work. But finally, in case they have to change something, you never know with the lifetime circle of these elements, it's very simple to adapt the building to new questions. Two interior shots, one on the apartment at the top floor, where you see the wooden roof, and one in the lower part, where you see the kitchen on the left side, right toilet. Behind this wall here is actually some technic station where you have easy access, and you also here see here all the installation for electricity were visible. The entrance area, you see, even underneath the stair, we used to have a cupboard there to use every space. This is also detailed, but you see here the wall coming out a little bit. This is for the toilet door when you want to open it totally. And on the right side, the stair leading up to the upper floor. This is the nice double door, which I think it's quite interesting. You can use it as a working space. Maybe you have a piano there. It generates nice views, and also the double space room above the stair. Now let's move to the outside. What we followed inside, we also used on the outside. These raw materials, we had galvanized steel, which we used, very visible, and this is helping us to show the inner structure on the outside also. We have these fiber cement plates, which we clad in the facades. We have aluminium windows and wooden planks on the balconies. Here it's quite nice visible. This is for children to play in the sand, the old wall, which we left how it is. And here the view down, you see, with this common space. And that was also something we were really interested. How does it work? Because people, they live there together, they live really close. And how does it work with living on a place so close together? And what we heard stories that they never use the curtains. And they go even so far that when they have friends or guests for eating, they share their furniture. They just ask them and they use it. It's perfect. Now a few pictures of the construction. First of all, demolishing the existing car garage. These are the installation from the neighbor building. Here in the back, you see the tiles which you left. The foundations for each structural wall. And here you see, these are the old garages. Now the apartments have a storage room in this garage. So now you can imagine what kind of a work was it to measure everything inside, super precise, Because first of all, you had to make the before you put this wall, you had to do the ceiling, you had to measure in everything that finally it works here. And this the backyard, the green cottage. The next project I would talk about is one of our first projects. It's a project that came from Fabio's family. His father, his mother asked us. It's a long story. We started with a typical Swiss box, very minimalized. And then there was some crisis in terms of the housing crisis. So we stopped it. And looking back, probably it was the best thing that could happen for us because of that stop. We started with a really small project. We made a bathroom transformation, and we could really find our own way of designing architecture. This is the house. It's a concrete house with wooden elements hovering about the road. To go into detail, this is a suburb of Basel. It's in Muttens. It's on a special place. Here you have a sport field, a football field, and here it's quite a loud road, a big crossroad, so it's quite noisy. And to cross the road here, they built like a tunnel for bicycles. That meant that it was our parcel, our plot was only accessible on a really smart short element. You will see it here. So here you have the tunnel going down underneath for the bicycles, and this gate here is indicating the entrance to the plot, which we had to use. Before we could transform it, there was also like a building construction company, and they had the storage room and stuff like that. And then on the right side, on these two pictures, you see the existing housing. These are apartment blocks or row houses, which define the existing structure. When we started the project, we thought about how do you access this plot? How do you make living in this ground floor possible in terms of privacy, intimacy? And first of all, we said, let's make a garage underground. But then we found out that the garage, probably to drive down there, would destroy the whole entrance area and it would cost us a fortune. And as I said before, we're really interested in reading the law of building, of construction, very good. So we found out the passus, and that said, hey, whenever you use this car parking volumes, which is not the main volume, it's a side volume, when you put it into the main volume, you can increase your main volume on a certain amount of square meters. And this idea, this was initial for the whole project. And from there on, everything came together quite, not simple, but it came very good together. Let's call it like that. Because we decided to have a public parking under the building here, all the parkings here. And then behind the parking, we had a really massive wall. Behind it, we had a private apartment. It's almost a loft apartment. You have a view through the whole apartment. And again, here we have a wall who makes it private, and it's a very nice space in here. And here you see the structure. You see these pillars or the columns, which are load-bearing, they come down, and they're defined by the width of the car parking, which we had to fulfill. So they are going, as you see later on, through the whole building. When you enter now, you can park your car here, and you can take the public stair going up, or you enter the apartment in the back. That's a section, the entrance area. The car is missing, but we come back. Here you also see the column in this shaped form. It really indicates where the loads come and how they go down. And when you see now this picture, before I said we like to transform certain elements, but we also like in our work to take traditional elements and work with them. Take a traditional roof, whatever, and transform it into something in this generation. And here we were really orientating on a very traditional house with a big roof going over the facade, with water gutters going down, very classic, but we're trying to give them some special in the design. This is a reference which we used also, a very classic house, which we liked a lot, the house on this pillow. then the picture here. What is also characteristic here on this, it's not really good visible, but when you enter the site, it goes down maybe 50, 60 centimeter. So the ground floor apartment is very intimate, but then the problem was, how do we work on the upper floor? And we decided to have one big plate above ground. So the building is almost hovering above of these steel elements. And to give them more privacy, we decided to give them a nose. So the nose goes about 60 centimeters further out of the facade. People who live there, they can put plants on top there and give them more privacy when they sit there behind the facade. Here the nose is quite good visible. This is a detail, the pillar, water coming down, ending up in this additional element of the ceiling and going inside then. When we look closer at the detail, small elements which you think that help a lot to structure the building. We have this ceiling above ground floor, about the ground. And then we have this filling in the facade of the first floor, and it goes back. It's about 10 centimeters going back, and the upper floor is coming out again. So this is small textures which help us to structure the building, and it helps to orientate it horizontally. This is the entrance situation with the stair leading up or going down, and was also quite good visible is here the massive concrete wall going through. This is the apartment in the ground floor. So now we move up to the first floor, and where you saw before with the pillars from the car parking, you see now this is the same structure we use on top. The idea was to have as little corridors to have more from a room to room experience. It was not 100% working here. We had to make a small entree, but then here, when we enter the building, the apartment, and you have the rooms, bathrooms, and then you have the central kitchen from where you access sleeping rooms, living room, and the loggia. So with this trick about putting in the power parks into this main volume, it was very good possible to have two nice and good apartments on each floor. Kitchen, then the loggia or the outdoor space totally in wood. That's it. And now we go to the attic floor plan. What you see here is the same structure, but we could lighten it up because there was less weight. And it shows like that now. The walls become a beam and still hold the roof. And this is going through. The outdoor space cut into the roof. Now a few pictures of construction. This is the round window which they brought for the concrete. You see all this steel which they had to bring in there. And as I said before, this traditional element, here we were working also with these shutters. Shutters not in terms of closing down, but in terms of sliding shutters. This helped us to give them some warmth in combination with the roof, a very traditional roof. And the nice thing is also, especially here in this loggia, you have the possibility to close it totally and you have a private space to sit outside. The next project is called Haus Cesana. It's also based in Basel on a hill where you have a beautiful view. It's really amazing. And these clients, we see them every year. It's kind of a tradition. We meet us once a year for dinner, and it's still nice to talk about with them how they feel, how happy they are. So this is also a very nice sign when we finish a project, we still have a good contact with them. So that's the house. It opens up to the landscape. And as you see, The garden, it's an element of stairs and platforms going down from the house to the garden. This is the situation, so-called in Bruderholz. You have here the existing house. It was quite an old house. Philip could buy it from his family. You see a lot, the garden was quite wild. And like I said before, there was not really a connection between the house and the garden because it was about 1 meter above ground. The inside was also quite old, in an old way. So what our idea was, or what we wanted to propose was, hey, you need more space. Why don't we just make like a winter garden or an addition to the house where you could really sit in front of the house, like you see here. You still feel the old facade, but you are in front of the house and you're part of the nature. This was an image which we liked a lot. We started with models. That was not the first model, but finally we found out that this is for us a way which we like to follow. Because we said we don't want to negotiate the house, we want to extend it. So we decided to have exactly the same width of the house for the addition. The roof is also having the same angle as the existing one. In this model, the roof is totally glazed. At the end, we had to do it a bit less window. Yeah. And then we have this roof here, which is covering the outdoor space from rain, from sun, and giving a really nice view from the inside to the nice landscape. The interior view. So here's the plan, the ground floor plan. As you see, that's the existing one, and then we took out the whole facade from the ground floor. And what we liked here was to be this honest way of saying, okay, where do all the forces go? And we created a very massive pillar. Probably we could have made it thinner, but we wanted to have it as a central element where the steel beams end up. So there are the forces going down and on the side. From there on the right side, this is the addition in a wooden element, combined with steel structure. When you enter here, you have an access. Here's a living room, eating room, and then there's a central kitchen. The people really like to cook, so this is a cooking island. And from there, you have to a few steps down to the platform, and then 2 steps down to the garden. Here the section shows the same. Yeah, as you see now, we have smaller windows in the roof, and this roof here opening up to the landscape. On the left, the view on the platform to the inside. Here stand in the room. And what we were fascinated on working on was this mix between inside and outside. So you're inside in the building, but you still feel the old facade from the outside with this very rough surface. And that was fascinating for us. And then in combination with showing the different materials, bringing down the load and showing it. Also here on this extension, you see, first of all, it was a steel structure. Then we put wooden walls and wooden ceilings on top of it. Even this diagonal element, it was part of the design. As I said before, very often this construction, the structure is for us a part of the design. It helps us to design the house. The view from the kitchen out. So now you can imagine the view here. It's amazing. And this is also a funny part. This is the bathroom in the upper floor. That's the old window which was existing there. I mean, the hole was there, we just made a new window in. And now it's really nice that you can look down to the kitchen. There are some pictures of the construction site. Small foundations for the steel structure, and then this wooden element on top. Last but not least, they had an existing garage on the side. But as you can imagine, cars became bigger over the last few years or decades, and it was really too small. And as you see, so we took down the roof here. You see the facade here. It changed. There was the roof was attaching to the facade. There were old windows and so on and so on. So what we thought would be nice to have these old elements don't take it away, just to show the history of the house. So we left this wall here, and we put some new steel roof on top. It's a smaller one, but it's enough to have the car covered from snow and rain. And you see here the old structured element, where the wall was touching the house, the window which closed because the kitchen was in behind. And here the same. It's in terms of the color, it's almost the same, but you feel the addition and the extension very good. The water going down here, so also extended it. We went down here and we made it drawn down. The next one is a housing project again. It's in terms of the size, it's quite similar to the house in Baselstrasse, the second project, but it looks totally different, you will see. That's it. People say, it looks like a ship or like a temple. The way how we came here is quite interesting. This is the situation, how we found it. And a friend of ours, she tried to sell the house for many months, but it was impossible because the situation was, it's based in Rien, it's a neighbor town of Basel, and it's a very big plot with a small house on it. And the land cost a fortune, so nobody was willing to pay so much. And then they came to us and said, hey, why don't we make a study and check out how much could we build on this plot? Here's the situation, you see the surrounding. So there are a few old houses, like one here, but mostly it already changed to apartment blocks here, here, and here. So this is a typical change which happens in Switzerland or in the suburbs a lot. Old houses getting destroyed and apartment buildings are going to be built. So we started again with to find out what can we build, what is possible. And as you see here, we had to keep a distance of 6 meters of the main building from both sides. Then Yatik has to move in on a certain amount of meters. But then in this area, in this town, there's a law that whenever you build a house, or a place, an element of the house which is not higher than 3 meters, you're allowed to go all the way to the border. That means we could really build here the 3-meter house at the frontier to the neighbor. But we didn't want to do that. But what it helped us to maximize the square meter we were allowed to build. And with this law, suddenly it came together that we had this shape of house. This is the view. As you see before, or you will see, the balconies are always on the short side. We have 2 apartments per floor, and on each of them has on the short side a nice big balcony or a terrace. Now, when you enter the building or the site, here's the road. So we have some public parking here, and then there's a small footpath going back, leading to the middle of the plot. The center staircases is giving access to 2 apartments from each side. This is a view from the upper floor. As they were quite small, we had to find a solution not to spend too much space for corridors and stuff like that. And here we always got it without corridor. As you will see, you enter the building, there's a wardrobe, and then you have 1 open space for cooking, eating, and a lounge. And from there, you have 2 sleeping rooms, which have an access from there, and they share a common bathroom. And then on both sides, you have these big terraces where you, About the facade, as you will see, it's quite, the situation is very green, big trees, and we propose to make a dark building which integrates really good in the surrounding. It's a combination of the construction, so the ceilings and the core is in concrete, and the wall, they're out of wood, in combination with some steel structures. And now you see here what we wanted to have, this horizontal, to define the horizontal of the building. We had big discussions because, to be honest, we were not allowed to make like an overhang of the roofs. You see here, that was impossible. So then we found out that there's no rule. Sorry but I talk a lot about rules, but somehow we really try to find a way around, and this is interesting for us that we can really build what we want, what we think is important for the house. And to all of you, sometimes it's worth really to fight for your ideas. So what we found here, that these water things, the water pipes, how they called, there's no rule who says how wide this is allowed to be. So we defined it, this one, we made a mock-up in the model. It's about 50 centimeter wide, and we put them on both sides of the house. And this helps us to give the house a structure. And beside that, it's not only, it helps to orientate the structure, but it also brings a scale, a human scale on the building when you walk there. There's the detail where you see the concrete ceiling, the small metal roofs, water dropping down here. These are pictures of the construction where you see the wooden walls. And here you see how it works now. Now, here we have shutters again, a very traditional element. We wanted to use it there because we think on this facade, it gives them certain deepness. It's a playing element, which we thought might help a lot for the house. There was a mock-up on the site where we tested everything, if it works. And the client was happy with it. And it looks now like that. The last project I will talk about has nothing to do with housing, but that is said, the title is housing, and what more can it be? Where's the social aspect? And we thought we might talk about this project because it's a sport club. That's here. There's a football club, and they needed a new wardrobe. And this football club is in an area in Basel where the football is really important for the social life for the young people. They meet there. They can shout around, and it's very necessary to have that. Here you see the situation. The situation is very special because it's actually in a nature area. You are not allowed to build any houses there, and if it's something you build, you're not allowed to dig into the ground, and it has to be some smaller elements. So housing, living is no chance. Because in this area down here, they're going to generate drinking water for the city of Basel. And as you will see later on, there's one huge pipe of water. It's, I don't know if that's 2 meters high, going underneath our building and delivering water to the city. Then in the back of the parcel of our plot, you have tracks from the train, which are on a small hill. They're leading there. The existing field, and this generates this very specific triangular shape of the parcel. The axis is from here. You park here, or you come by bicycle, you drive back here, and here's the access. Here you see the existing containers. It was very big of a bit of an improvisation, and in the back, the old track for the trains. So now, all these elements which we had to follow, like don't dig into the ground, make a building which is really subtle, which integrates to the background. Let's go back here to this greenery. We decided to make kind of a pavilion. It's a one-story pavilion, and we thought, okay, what can it be more than just a function? And we found out, hey, let's create a platform which is connecting all the different functions and which all has the possibility for gathering people. So imagine, I said at the beginning, I talked about the handrail. You remember maybe? So here, we also use the handrail, but it's a really thick handrail. So the nice thing is, I have a friend, her son plays soccer there, and she sent me a picture and said there was a drink there and a bit of pommes frites, and it was all put on the handrail, and she could watch the game or the soccer game. And this is exactly what we were interested in, to have a bit more of it gives more use. So then To finish this platform, we decided we want to cover it. So this is this very big roof. I will talk you later on about the construction, and it creates this outdoor space. As you see here, you have 2 steps going up from the public path or a ramp, and then you're on top of it. Here's the ground floor, and sometimes you have to be lucky, but this triangular shape really helped us to develop the building, because first of all, at the beginning of the building, we wanted to have this public function with the clubhouse here in the corner. You have the kitchen in the back, and some storage room further back. So this was the biggest element, the deepest one. After that, we decided to have the wardrobes. So it's 8 wardrobes, exactly the same. These are this one here. And then at the end, there are some wardrobes for the referees and some spaces for the people working there. Yes. Maybe here you also see the grid. The grid came from the size of the wardrobe, and that was going through the whole building. This structural element from the walls, going down to the foundations, going further on to the structure of the roof. Here are the sections. You see now here this really big water pipe underneath the building. That's it. And this is quite interesting to see when you have the view straight on the platform. It's really an enclosed space. When you turn your head to the left, to the right, you have the light coming through from the open structure. On the right side, probably ask yourself, why do we have any curtains? We don't have to, it's not necessary, but people told us that sometimes they want to change the field on the short side. So if people watch it, they need it for the ball, that it doesn't go back. Then it was also quite nice in Switzerland or in Basel, we have standard elements to wash the shoes, but we couldn't convince the client that we want to design something else. It didn't cost more, it was the same price like a standard element, but it's very nicely integrated to the platform. Here you see, now imagine this is a person working here, this is the watcher. On the right side, these are the small foundations we had to build. Then there's a steel construction on top. And what you see now, all this black, this is the canalization. And all these pipes, they had to be protected or over-served with a cable in case of damage. It would give a sign to the city and they would repair it directly because nothing is allowed to drop down here. If you go further to the detail now of the ground floor, we have this platform in the front, which is out of concrete. Then we have the wardrobes. These are massive wooden elements. And what we also like here to have these elements, like the main construction, the main structure is what we see finally at the end. We don't cover it. And in the back, you have these shower elements. They are also in concrete. Here are some pictures. And it's for us really fascinating because we had a lot of discussion with the client. How does it work? Do these young football players, do they accept it, that it's wood? Sometimes when they lose a game, maybe they might aggressive and they might frustrated. But honestly, until now, they were really taking care of their building. Probably they see that we loved it to build, and maybe they love it again as well. Yeah. So this is how it looks now, and it's still in a perfect shape. As you see here again, all the installation, they're visible on the ceiling. This is the club room at the beginning of the building, where we have curtains, so we can divide this open space into different functions. Sometimes they have a meeting room, so they can divide it. In that case, they could also close down the kitchen here in the back, the toilet. And now the detail of this big roof. We put a photovoltaic on the roof, so the roof delivers power, energy for the building. This is what I meant before. Depending on the way where you stand, it looks totally different. When I enter the place there from far away, it looks like a standard roof. And then when you come close, you realize that it's just an attached roof on a boxed building. This is the facade from the entrance. You see this window on the outside of the facade, this wooden facade. Inside you can sit into the window with cushions, and it's covered with an element here against rain. This is the back of the house. We have here the water pipes that are going down. We made them really massive. We made them stronger, so it structures the facade, and this is an element we could design, and we think it helps the facade. All the installation on the roof. The windows bring down light. And finally, the view when you enter the building, the platform. Thank you very much.
All right, now it's time to open the floor for any questions.
It's not a question. It's the fact that almost everything you've done there won't pass almost any code anywhere in the United States. So it's elegant. I lived in Europe for, 20 years or something, and I love it. But it's a problem. So when you look at this, ramps, walkways, everything, couple of steps, none of that really solves any problems here. I don't know whether this presentation is for that. It's the detailing is elegant, and that part of it's beautiful. I would love to know the prices of some things, because it's not cheap. It's very it really adds a cost to it. I will say it was just really nice watching this, bringing back lots of memories, again, living in Europe for so many years. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So throughout your projects, there is a very clear attitude that embraces the structural aspect of architecture. And in the lecture, you said that the construction and the structure helps design your homes. So I guess my question is, when approached with a project, do you typically have an immediate sense of idea of the structure and how that will affect your design, or are those built up hand in hand in sort of what that process looks like?
No. I mean, first of all, we start with an analysis of the site and the circumstances, the function, and we start always with that. And for sure, I was showing a few projects where we have a strong structure. We also have other projects which are not as structured. This is also possible. But back to your question, I would say it's an iterative process. Sometimes it helps us, sometimes we find another way.
So besides for just accomplishing the goal of being and making like a shelter, would you say as an architect, are there any other aspects that you really want to bring into your spaces that you design? Any like core values?
Sorry, that was too fast. Can you repeat the question?
My bad. So besides for just accomplishing like just being a shelter,
Yes.
Which anybody can do, as an architect, would you say, are there any like core values that you specifically want to bring to the table or anything else? Like, what are the main things you want to accomplish with your architecture?
Fabio and me, we love architecture. We have so many regulation. We have so many functions we have to fulfill. At a certain point, we like to have just something, we develop something which we have fun, which we like a lot. And here is this big roof, which we like, and this can change from project to project. I don't have a standard sentence which we say we always do this, no.
Any other questions?
Good evening. My question for you is especially regarding the first project that you showed, the apartment complex, can we call it that?
Right.
With this huge glass facades that was also in Switzerland, right?
Yes.
How do you negotiate in the design process with having a material that will let a lot of heat escape and a lot of cold go through? How do you negotiate this? Okay, this is worth it aesthetically, and for the concept of the entire design, this is driving and bringing a lot to it. However, this will bring a lot of energy needs because of the material that it is. How do you negotiate this kind of balance?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Really, thank you. Maybe I can go back. Let me see. Yeah, I can tell you. To be honest, when we started this project a few years ago, it was already roaming around about the heating and energy coming in, but not as direct here. We have other projects, for example, the office building, which is a really huge one. There we had to find a solution. The competition we won with a fully glazed facade and outdoor sunshade, and quite fast we found out that it's impossible, So there we have a closed wall on a certain level, and then a facade, like a window band. And there we combine it with an additional element on the outside. It's like a revision balcony, we call it. So whenever something is going to break down at the facade, you can walk out there, you can easily repair it in combination with the photovoltaic. So this covers the window from direct sun. Yeah. So back to this approach, to the Oettlingerstrasse, as you mentioned, we do have these big balconies above, which help a little bit. And we have an outdoor, the sunshade is not a fabric. It's a really, like maybe you saw, it's a metal element, which really hold back the heat. Yeah. But probably today it would be difficult to build it like that. Yes.
If someone wants to work on similar types of projects in the future, what experiences, educational or work experiences do you recommend to pursue?
You mean if you want to work on
similar types of projects?
In our office or in general?
In general.
I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. You want to know what kind of
your project,
knowledge you need?
The types of projects that you presented specifically are what interests me in architecture. So basically, what should I seek within my education? What should I focus on to in my career get to that?
basically.
Okay, now I get it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, for repeating. Hey, one thing is what you study. The other thing is where your interests are. I can say for me and Fabio, we started our education as draftsmen in civil engineering. So we were really drawing plans by hand. And this is probably also explaining a little bit how we developed the project, because the details are really important for us. And then after that, we studied, and we both worked for Herzog & Dömerow, which have been building also a few stuff here in Miami. And they're totally different scales, you know. What I propose to you is just to find a smaller office where you learn a lot about construction. This is the main thing, I think. Yeah. Because when you haven't worked before, when you come from the university, when you end up in a huge company, probably you do just designing stairs or facades or whatever. And in our company, where we have 10 people, so everybody's doing everything. Until a certain size of the project, we even made the construction, where we go out every day and we control it when we work together with the company, the builders, you know. Yeah. So that might be helpful for you. Yeah.
Hi. I have a specific question about the first project you mentioned about like removing the circulations outside of the block. Like, can I know how the residents like review this? They accept it, they didn't accept it because this is something that's not regular?
You mean how they accepted it from the government?
Yeah. Okay, so like how the residents like react to it? Was they fine with it, or like they were like surprised? Did they like cope with it or not?
No, they accepted it and they liked it. Yeah.
They liked it, yeah. Okay, thank you.
And it's not the first building which has been done like that in Switzerland.
Yeah, because like the project I'm doing right now have the same idea, so I was interested in it.
Yeah, but I mean, this is always the question about the visibility or the privacy, you know?
Yeah,
we tried to solve it with this block of stair and the toilet, and then having the sleeping room in the upper floor. This helps a lot, you know?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
As a designer, what inspires you? What motivates you? Why are you an architect? Why are you a designer?
What inspires me? To start with, I think I can be really happy to do this job because I love it. And when I see to other people who work somewhere and they're not really happy, I can be really happy to do it. And I'm inspired always, you know. I walk through the city, I see a nice detail of an old building and think, wow, this is beautifully done. I was in Paris last week and I saw some nice detail of a railing, and I thought, wow, there's this handwork, handcraft, you know, and this is fascinating for me. And then, to be honest, these are like this picture, when you see the people who use it, when you see it, it gives them something back. It's more, like I said before, it's more than a building. It has a social aspect, you know, and you build something for 50, 100 years, you have a certain responsibility. And when it comes out like that, when you are happy and the client is happy, this is very fulfilling for us. But then, yeah, I think probably we are also in a lucky situation that we could build certain elements, certain houses, and now clients know how we build, what we build. So the discussion we start, they start on a certain level, and this helps us a lot.
Any other questions?
We have an online question. This is from Diana Gomez. She says, reflecting on your years of experience, what are some recurring struggles or design dilemmas you faced from project to project, and how have those shaped your approach over time?
It's a good question. But what I think is one of the challenge that every client is different. You really have to find a way how to communicate with them. We have clients, they have a totally good view. They can imagine things same as maybe even better than me, you know, they don't need a model. But then we have clients, they have a harder understanding. So then we have to find a way of communicating. This is one of the challenging things. Yeah. On the other hand, you can also say it's quite interesting. It's psychology. How do you work with different people? You know, it's always an adventure, and we work together. When most people build a house once in their life, for them it's really special. So that's why we take our time to do the design concept, the first design concept. We call it Vorprojekt in Switzerland. It takes about 2 or 3 months because we need the time to develop it and they need it as well. It's both. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.